Three, two, one. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you, episode 207 is gonna happen. And I didn't quite expect it to be this guest simply because this wasn't planned in the way that I had been planning all the episodes so far. This was more of a let's do it. Should we do it? Let's do it. Can we do it tomorrow? Let's do it. Let's do it day after. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. And then it just became let's do it 20 minutes from now. And here we are recording this podcast. And the person who I'm going to be speaking to, we were just talking just before I started recording. We go way back. Like we were in school together. If I'm not wrong, I think we were in the same class in our 11th and 12th, but we were in the same school, I think, from ninth grade, 8th standard or ninth standard. So the camaraderie that we have got built in our 11th and 12th, which is when it was a slightly smaller class with a fewer people. So we got to interact a lot more. You can say like 200 students who gave their 10th grade together got distilled to 30 students who stayed in the same school to do their 11th and 12th. And we were part of those 30 students. So we got to know each other a lot. And the kind of stories we were discussing is, like we had fun back in school. Like, like we had a maths teacher in 11th and 12th who we didn't really enjoy studying under, not her fault. We just hated the subject. And I remember if we ever had a math class after short break, which is your breakfast or lunch break, we would never go to class. We would fucking run to the field with the football and play. And just with 5 or 10 minutes of the class left, we would run to the class and say, sorry, you were having biryani. So it got late because they gave the food late. So that's the background we come from, giving our 12th grade boards together and then not being in touch after for too long. And then finally today doing a podcast together. Without wasting any more time, Mr. Souryadip Boomba Sengupta, welcome to Anway Pramanik's Early Night Show.
What's up? What's up, Anway? It's been way too long, actually. We've met, we bumped into each other on the Bangalore streets, but it's been again, what's up? Hey, hello, and then Bangalore way, hey, macha, what's up, bro? Like that, and kind of, and obviously when I saw you in 2012 compared to 2016 when we met in between, you're a transformed man in terms of you had lost weight, you were working on yourself, you were looking fitter than before compared to what I have seen in 2012. So kudos for you to that great job on that. It takes a lot of effort, and yeah, things move on from there. So
okay, I don't want this. I appreciate that. I really do because means a lot that you notice that. But at the same time, I don't want this podcast to be about me. I think people have seen my ugly mug enough. They've heard me
okay,
enough.
okay,
So let's get to know you. Sorry, Deep, even like I know what you do in passing only. So why don't you tell us where you are right now, what you're doing, and what you've been doing for the last 1 or 2 years that have got you where you are? Like, take it away. The floor is yours.
sure. So I'm currently completing my master's in cybersecurity at like University of Maryland, which is closely very located to DC. So yeah, I'm like 20 minutes away from the White House, you can say. Any large protest that goes on, the first call I get is like, "Were you there in that protest?" And I'm like, "No, I was not." Right? So, so if the US government is watching, I am very sorry if someone looking like me is there, but I am not there. Right? So, but anyways, jokes apart. But yeah, so I'm currently with at Maryland. I'm finishing up my masters, mostly looking to join again the workforce. Uh, I'm not going to disclose any employers right now because again, there are certain like legal issues that I don't want to be get
NDAs.
exactly. So yeah, looking forward to join the workforce, and mostly with cybersecurity, my end goal is right now to be giving back to the community, helping people both from a journey of like, okay, if you want to do a master's or a PhD in the US, what are the ways out? And honestly, try to do it free of cost. My personal master's for almost 3 semesters has been free. As in, I've paid for my own master's, which is like a big proud moment for me. And I want people to utilize that opportunity as well, because I know the kind of loan, the kind of stress people get through, specifically coming from India to US and finding jobs, finding house, all of that is really painful. So it's not just grades like how we put it in India. It's your overall profile and overall personality that the university looks at. So that's kind of my current thing that I'm working with. So I work with a lot of my classmates in that aspect, trying to build certain pages, trying to create cyber awareness all over, while we can show our sort of trade skills to the community as well. So they can understand, okay, here is a group of people from this college, they're trying to build this entire setup, right? So they collaborate with us and we build that entire ethical system, secure system, which we call in computing. Get
So,
that?
yeah, go ahead.
So all of that started by accident, I would say. I wanted to do a master's, as in I wanted to go abroad since I was in 12th, actually. I don't remember if you know that me, Jaiman, Vishaka, all of us like gave our SAT exams together around that same time, right? In that only like Vishaka left and all of us stayed back because again, 1.5 crore. I'm telling you, 1.5 crore, even if my parents are earning well, even if I'm well established from a financial standpoint, is scary. Specifically to a 17-year-old kid, right? It is scary uh, when you have that much amount of money that needs to be pumped in for your education. It's not easy. So figuring out ways around that was a big thing. Plus my first love, which I say, cyber is my second love. First love of playing sport, being involved in like the India's biggest game of cricket was also there. That 2012 to 2016 is my time. I'm gonna work so hard that I at least like not only get to go to the NCA, but also break into the India under 19 cricket team, whatever it might be, just by sheer talent and my hard work and my dedication. Right. I just had like those 3 years, work hard. It was a gamble in a way. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, okay, you move on from there. That was the kind of thing. But again, there was a lot of work done before that as well. Like in my 10th, in my 9th, you would remember in my 10th, we went for a tour to Delhi, right? Pre-boards coming up, we went for a tour to Delhi. We came back from a tour to Delhi, right? And people were like, dude, you guys are crazy. Who goes to a tour to
Was
Delhi?
this the team where Akhilesh and Ahmed were in the team?
No, that's the year before.
Okay, okay,
That was when I was in 9th.
okay.
But in 10th, when we went to Delhi, it was me, Siddharth, Anmol, Bipin, uh, all of those guys who traveled together.
Ah,
Uh,
Bibin was in the cricket team, right?
yes. So it was funny that me, Bipin, and Tejesh, as in sorry, Tejas. I keep getting. I have another friend called Tejesh, and I keep using Tejesh. Tejas, me, and Bipin were like the three fast bowlers of the team in my 10th grade. Uh, and believe it or not, I was the slowest one compared to Tejas and Bipin, right? And I was getting more wickets, and Bipin used to be like, "What is this? Like, how is he getting wickets? Like, what's he doing?" So Bipin did the hard work for me. He set the platform of scaring the person up. All I just do is put it in the right place and, oh, yes, thank you, right?
So
So
let me break that like with a few bunch of follow-up questions. So that like there's a little bit more context. Let's first talk about your college, your university, where that university is at, and what you're doing at that university. Um, University of Maryland. You said you're studying you're doing your masters in cybersecurity. Help me understand what is the day in the life of pre-COVID and post-COVID. What was the day in the life of university? What would you guys do? How would campus work? And what is it like now? What are the kind of projects you work on? What are the kind of things you get to study? What are the kind of lecturers who come to your venue? What is the kind of exposure you get to the cybersecurity world as it is? Like, has anyone from Facebook visited you guys and stuff like that?
makes sense. Yes. So 2019 August is when I arrived. Uh, the place that I came to is called College Park. So it's like a small town, which is a complete college. Like it's only youngsters that are
Like a
around, in and
Manipal.
around. Yeah, kind of, but three times the campus size of Manipal, right? Where you've got stadiums, you've got stadium lights. Like imagine Chinnaswamy Stadium inside your own campus, right? And it can hold the same amount of audience as Chinnaswamy Stadium, like 70,000, 80,000 people, right? So that's kind of the that's kind of the breadth and length, and it's a huge college. It's got like on an average 40,000 students uh, in around, I would say, 30 to 40 streams of like academia, including science, politics, literature, law, everything, medical, name it, they have it. So my day-to-day life pre-COVID was mostly go to lectures in the evening because the course that I was in is a professional master's. So it also has people who come in from their workforce to upskill themselves and like study at night kind of a thing. So the professors I also had was also from the industry. So folks who are at like the university who are doing like nothing day-to-day life as their like day-to-day job. Then and all in all, everyone in and around the I would say Maryland. Specifically, people from Microsoft and Facebook used to come to just like discuss research and what's new and what's happening, what's going to happen as a trend change.
What's the
Uh,
coolest thing you have learned about the tech world while at your university? Tell me this one fucking thing that you learned or you came to realize or you got exposed to or in just passing you got to see how it works. And you're like, holy fucking shit, I never knew that. And that's something that everyone who's watching, including me, would be like, holy fucking shit, I didn't know that.
yeah, so something that I really loved, and I'm still like a very like I would say a novice in that field, is technically reviewing assembly level language. So I'll give a context of what assembly level language is. Uh, we understand that the program, as in you write a program on a computer console and you press a run button and it executes the program, right? Now, there is something like a compiler and interpreter that does certain computer level translation, right? Now, each of this is like a connected process. Now, one process can be broken and I can put some malicious thing on that layer because
Oh,
there is no verification that happens, right? And that's how that, and it gave me the impetus because that's how malware gets created. 2017 is when ransomware was very like popular, right? People used to just like, and ransomware is something in which like people just used to encrypt your system and ask you for bitcoins. So Bitcoin is like a growing thing. So one Bitcoin might be 50,000 rupees currently.
way more than that,
I
I
don't know.
think.
Yeah, yeah. It's
I
like
think
fifty
it's like,
thousand dollars.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it's
it's
fifty
in the
thousand
lakhs
dollars right
now.
now.
I think it's in the
Yeah, yeah,
lakhs.
correct. Yeah, so they might ask 10 bitcoins, and uh, I guess we'll talk about this a little later about dark web. Just a little quick intro about dark web, and we will talk about it a little later. Not to, I don't want to be talking about dark web with this because it's like the gamut will become so huge that I will lose context and then things will go haywire. So when you so that kind of gave me the impetus of how malwares work, and while malwares work, how you can use systems to check for malwares in a proactive way. And that's something that I'm very much interested in.
How
How
would
can
you
I?
define malware to a 5-year-old kid? Like,
So
I
what
love
I
the concept of describing complex things in basic fundamentals so I understand it as clearly as you do.
so I would say a simple way of putting malware up would be that here is one particular steps that we're supposed to be doing. Like you go to a bank, and not even go to a bank, you go to a store, you buy a chocolate, and you come, as in you pay the shopkeeper and you come out, right? This is on pre-COVID, post-COVID. I think it's QRs too and like a lot of tech stuff. But yeah, let's keep it simple. So
Pre-COVID,
shoplifting,
anything post-COVID starts with first wear your mask.
yeah, correct. And I do vouch people to get vaccinated. I have gotten my first dose of vaccine, so I am very pro people getting vaccinated as soon as possible. Let's defeat this COVID thing, and let's bring back life to normal. Please, it'll help all of us. I'm telling you. Going to a hospital and staying in a hospital is very boring and very annoying and stressful.
I'm more of an anti-vaxxer.
Get it, man,
Wearing
get it.
a
I'll
"This
tell
is
you.
a mind control device" slogan on my mask.
Nah, that's fine. But get your vaccine. You can have your opinion. We can have a democratic discussion about it. But
Yeah, I think
but get it.
let's leave the vaccine for maybe the end of the podcast or maybe the next podcast because I'm more interested in the data part of it.
Yeah. So basically, you go to the store, you pick up your like chocolate, and you pay the shopkeeper, right? Shoplifting is one kind of malware attack. So the shopkeeper is not aware. So imagine this. We have four people. Let's just name like Alice, Bob, Tom, Sam. right? Let's not bring people off our friends circle and like, oh, then they will like, why have you told us like shoplifters? So anyways, Alice, Bob, Sam, and Eve all go together, right? And one picks up, the chocolate or whatever they want to pick up, right? Now the shopkeeper thinks that he is making sale, correct? But his numbers don't show the same, correct? That's what a malware does. It will eat up some of your information. It'll mostly publish it in an unauthorized way. And by unauthorized, the technical term that I used is without your notice, right? And you will feel that things are going fine, but it is not. So that's how a malware operates. There are a lot of versions of malware. Something called a worm. There's something called a Trojan, and many more. So I think there are 5 kinds, but yeah. So that is something that we'll have to be working on. I like working on because trust me, when people make software, they didn't understand that this is the kind of growth, specifically with IoT and the mobile boom that we went through of people having like a smartphone and touchscreen. Dude, when IoT comes into picture, it's legit going to be like a Jetsons cartoon that you and me will be traveling within pods, even between like different countries. So that's kind of an innovation that I foresee in the future.
What do you
Is like
see your
auto.
role in that space, and how much of that is something your college is teaching you right now?
So my space would be more from a building a safe computing. Imagine this. My work would be more from an automation perspective. How you have a security guard sitting in front of your apartment, giving you that assurance of security, right? Obviously, physically it won't be possible because there are so many computers as electronics is being built. There'll be an autonomous way, as in there'll be a program that verifies those things seamlessly. I don't want it to be, again, I'll give a simple example here. Traveling in an international flight, let's say in an abroad country, the security check in an airport is much lesser. It's just one security check. While in India, it's like 4 or 5 security checks, right? Go through the check-in, you go to the people, they verify everything, right? In any first world country, like Australia, US, Europe, it's smooth. You arrive 1 hour early before your flight, you still catch it. In India, if you arrive, as in Bangalore, I know, if I arrive 1 hour before my flight, my security check standing in front of that huge queue might just make me miss my flight, right? So that's how things are, right? The more autonomous the thing is, it helps user experience, and if it helps user experience, it's better to get better feedback. So build a safe computing world is somewhere I want to be at, and giving people that assurance that, you know what, you have invested your money right, you're doing the right thing from technology. We're not creating corrupt systems, or we're not going to be creating something that breaks the society, or like polarizes the society in a way that things are, you know, we
So
don't
if
have like fight.
so if I
Yeah,
want if I
go
have to
ahead.
sum it up, you can say you're trying to create an ecosystem where um, you can correct me if I have not phrased it properly. Okay, you're trying to create a system where mankind does not create a computational ecosystem where bad or unethical computational practices can be done. So you're like
Correct,
pretty much
because
you're saying that you want to be like a the person who
internet
provides,
police.
yeah, the internet police provides private security at a nightclub.
Yeah, internet police, but with not me having like, as happens with police, with not me having a lot of power in general,
There's no
right? The
centralized
power.
power basically.
Yeah, there's no power with me. Again, I keep using the quote of power is very corrupting. So power is not with me, it's with the people that they are, like it's with the people that are using the computing.
Right.
My job is just, to give them the right directions of what needs to be done and keep the bad actors away. So the
So
bad actors stay away, so people are more safe and secure in that way.
So in this case, do you see yourself more of a policy maker and a guidelines maker and this thing, or do you see yourself how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as a dude who will make the policies which every computer developer, hardware manufacturer, software developer, the net space maker, data centers, everyone will have to follow those policies? Do you see yourself as that, or do you see yourself as a CEO of a company that makes a tool, or that makes an IP, or that makes something like Bluetooth, which devices across the world are using, which will help
Yes,
protect them and protect the systems that they're running on? What do you see yourself doing?
correct. So the second, little bit on the second side, mostly as like a develop a product that can help, because policies are something, as in any document or any policy needs upgrade generally, right? Product is easier to make it transferable between people, because you can train them on the same skill, and they can take it over from there. Because
Hmm.
at one point of time, my life will end. I can't just keep doing, and I won't be able to do the same thing that I do when I'm 27, 26. Obviously, when I'm 40, 45, 50, I will be a little slower in my approach.
Hmm.
So with that in mind, my way is again I'm more and more concerned towards how AI is getting embedded into most of our work. And AI, because it's driven by algorithm, and by algorithm I mean like it's a set of instructions that it learns from us and what we do, uh, that it does not go into a bad space, because
Skynet.
technology, yeah, like technology technically has, it doesn't become like an, if I have to give like an analogy over here, for Marvel, it does not become an Ultron. Right? We created Jarvis with the point of it giving us feedback of what we're doing wrong from a decision making standpoint, but it does not change into Jarvis. Sorry, it does not change into Ultron, saying that, you know what, humans are messed up, which we truly are in terms of certain decisions we make. But let me correct the society by by eliminating things, or by dividing people up. So that's a very big problem that we'll have with
That's
if we,
fit. Go ahead.
yeah, that's the problem that we'll have with AI being implemented. So more or less look for that. It has been achieved. Good thing is it's been achieved before. So the airplanes that we use currently has that level of automation in it. The only thing that the pilot needs to do these days, again, I'm not a pilot, so again, it's a great job. It's a very like top notch job, and people do great things. But more or less, what I understand from a systems perspective is that when the flight is on air, it's completely on autopilot, and they just make sure that the controls and the systems are working all smoothly, right?
So if I have
Um,
to put it rightly, again, this is no disrespect to any pilot out there. In fact, I have an interview with Atul Chaudhary, who is an Indigo
oh,
pilot,
nice,
in like
nice, nice.
next to next weekend. So this will be a good point to bring up with him. What I'm asking is, you would say that pilots today are less navigating the aerospace than navigating the instruments of the plane.
Yes. So other than the takeoff and the landing, which they are more sort of, which is manual, uh, because we don't have systems with that level of intelligence to understand how to land in different variables. Again, because the variable space, by variable I mean environment, the road structure,
Wind speed.
potholes, wind speed, exactly. Right. So all of that is unknown to them, right? So you can't put that in a program and run it. It just doesn't work like that. You need to isolate certain things and put it all together. So yeah, exactly how as you said, uh, when they're in air, they're more concerned about the healthcare of the system, right? And as in the cockpit, things are going fine, perfect. You will land safely to whatever destination, like point A to point B you're going. It's all autonomous in one way. So we have achieved it in one place. All we need to do is make sure we find ways to keep that for moving forward in a way that we have that level of uh, prosperity in our society. It's kind of like sustainability thing that we move forward, give the next generation the opportunity to take it and innovate in their own field that
So
they want to take
I
it
didn't
forward.
quite get this point. So you're saying basically that that creating systems and the systems working well gives room for the next generation to develop those systems more. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So because at one point of time the systems that we develop will get kind of like the job gets boring, what is done. People right now, a 5-year-old kid or a 6-year-old kid already know what an app is and how the app runs, right? So there is good amount of exposure. So
Hmm.
if there's an early exposure to these things, they know okay how to use it, what are the right ways of, and here comes the importance of using it to the right way. So if we give them that kind of an education, it's not only children, it's both like adults as well. You give them the right level of education and awareness, you are good to go to use your computers for whatever work you want to do. Instead, you will be helping to save a lot of time and spending a lot of time either with your family or doing things that you like are really passionate about. And like it could be sports, it could be music, things will be like there's an infinite world that you can innovate.
So you're saying that if I have to put in a sentence, it's quite like saying, um,
Computing is the future.
when someone needs to operate a fire extinguisher, the level of guidelines and the level of the way of operating it is so systematically defined that you're saying that if someone needs to be using computers and smartphones and the internet and social media also, they need to be trained on those guidelines first. It's like in India, they never train you on traffic laws. They just want you to fucking mug those things up so you can get your license and leave in 2 weeks. But I would say
Correct.
in Europe, or at least in a lot of countries like maybe not France, but Switzerland, and where driving is not a luxury, not a commodity, but it's a right that's earned. In those countries, and like I believe that people who drive, they don't see it as कि मैं गाड़ी में बैठ के जा रहा हूँ, but they see it as I need to make sure that I operate the car in a certain way, maintain road discipline, traffic, because they don't see it as getting from point A to point B only. They see it as getting to point A to point B, like you said, in the right way.
Yeah. So I will shorten that entire word, saying that like whatever you, it's like kind of our like ancestors have spoken about it. Like you have a computer, you have a laptop, it's a privilege, right? So driving is a privilege. So treat it as a privilege. Automatically, your humbleness and your sense of responsibility will grow. And we can use the Spider-Man quote here, and that's why I say cybersecurity is very fictional. With great power comes great responsibility,
It does, yeah.
right? So like Uncle Ben, kudos to you. You know, we are all the Peter Parkers. We're trying to like make the world a better place in that.
Cool. So this helps me understand where you come from. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about the second point which you mentioned, which is that you enjoy or you like the idea of helping people who might want to study abroad and might not have the growth hacks or the insights to know how they can do it cheaply, efficiently, and with better returns on the money that they're putting in. I want to hear more. I
Correct.
want you to like tell us a little bit more about that.
So that kind of stems with me with my entire thinking of coaching classes. That coaching classes, well, the kind of money they sort of flush out of parents' pockets is is not legitimate. We need to we need to legitimately govern that. Like I'm not trying to say from a political standpoint, but I'm trying to be very honest because when I studied, making certain things from a school perspective was fine, but going to a coaching class and them exploiting that aspect from a monetary standpoint or from a financial standpoint is not correct, right? Yes, they do have the earn to right, obviously, but by saying that I'm
Right
going to
to
make
earn, you
them
mean?
learn, yeah, kind of like, yeah, they have the right to earn, but more or less my thought is that you don't they get to dictate that, but that your son is a 90%. And I was talking to a friend of mine before we joined this conversation. In the US, and it's not only in the US, in Europe also, this is the same. B people score 90%, right? They have that people who score 90% specifically go into research, like go into an MIT, go into a Stanford, go into a Princeton, and do legit level of great work. And they kind of categorize them as like the niche skilled people who are going to like be a Nobel. Again, I don't want to be a Nobel laureate, but they will be moving in that kind of a line. In our case, people who get 90% in our schools are still studying in a tier 3 college, right? People are now going to IIT. Again, there are huge gaps in that entire system because of the division in financial states in India in general. And what I also believe is education is the best way to uplift people from their particular standard of living to a better standard of living, right? That's one way if we want India to be sort of progressing as a developed country. Kind of that's I think a 2010 kind of a dialogue, but yeah, no one uses
No, no,
that
I
now.
get what you're saying.
But
Yeah.
but education is the right way. And trust me, I really love visiting Kerala for that reason, because of the amount of literacy they have there, right? It's amazing with the amount of literacy and how they basically manage, uh, people being educated there, having the right level of information sharing and those things, right? Again, every place has their own pros and cons, but yeah, I don't want it to be that you pay me 6 lakhs or 10 lakhs, and it's going to be I'm going to get your son 90%. But end goal when they come into the real world, zero. What's the point,
Mm,
right? Even if an IIT person comes out of IIT, is not able to deliver with the kind of quality that they come in, and, and that's something which we need to really work and balance it out. Again,
right.
that's a philosophy that I believe in. Obviously, I can't put it into practice, uh, like into a country. It's really hard for me to do it in that way. But yeah, I'm hoping that like people like Byju's and things don't create fake advertisements. Again, I have nothing against Byju's or any online teaching platforms. Certain ones I really enjoy. Udemy and Coursera have free availabilities, and I really enjoy that. Right? Byju should also be thinking about those aspects. It's not just marketing and your profit figures, but it's also to see how my community is moving forward. That is very, very key, right? So yeah, Byju's has a very good investor of Facebook, so you shouldn't worry about that, I guess.
I would say that, from my basic understanding, I would say Khan Academy is more
Yep, yep,
in
yep.
that
You're
free
right.
education for all space, whereas Byju's
Yes.
is more that I will make sure your kid gets to that college. That's the
So
space they're in, I think.
here comes the mentality that we've been growing up in, right? Anything that is free, we think scam karega. Like, I'll
Mm.
use Hindi here, but like we generally don't trust the person that why you're giving it for free.
We don't
There
value
is
it
some
enough either.
yeah, there is some glitch in this, right? Uh, Unlike us when we were kids, we found like a pirated game, we used to be so happy. Obviously, there used to be a lot of problems inside that as well. Like there is virus in my system, and all of those like problems used to come into picture.
Those
But
malware we were talking about came from those CDs only.
yes, exactly, correct. So that entire process, that we need to make things free, and when we make it free, we need to make it available for all. It's not like, hey, you have resources available, as in time, money, uh, people in contact that you get in with. It's not just that. It's just in general, right? Break the thing of division. Like
Mm.
you have this privilege, I don't have this privilege. No. If that person qualifies, perfect. Go ahead. Right? Again, India is a big country, and the problem comes because it's a big country. It's hard to put it all together.
Yeah.
You need to be a legit Gandhi ji to do that. You can't. It takes huge leadership capabilities. So
Even he couldn't do it. Like half of South, like all of South India was like against him. So
yeah,
I know
that's correct.
I get where
And
you're coming.
so that's my main sort of theme, that education is something that is a very powerful tool, used correctly, can give a lot of people what they're looking for in their life.
Understood.
um,
So now, just building on that, so I've understood the philosophy of where you're coming from. Help me understand what you did that made your journey into studying abroad less of a hassle than a lot of people would ideally go through. Like you told me, right? 1.5 CR as a 17-year-old, you can't even comprehend how many months of salaries that is.
how many
Like,
zeros are there in 1.7? Also, I didn't know that time.
yeah,
Like
how
that,
many
that's a
zeros
level
are
up.
there? That also we don't know. So,
Yeah.
what are your
So
views? Like, what did you do? How did you get? What was your journey into getting?
so for me, again, I wanted to always study abroad, leave the house kind of a thing. It was like a culture in my house also, that leave the house, live on your own. Not specifically go abroad, but stay on
Be
your
your
own,
own
see how
man
it
kind of thing,
feels.
but
Yeah, kind of like that. Like Hindi term would be dono pair pe khade ho, kind of like a point, right? So I said fair enough. So I was trying for it again because I had my feet in two boats. That is sports. Like I was so passionate. I don't know. Like a lot of folks in Ryan might have seen that sports and cricket, specifically cricket. I was like 100% like invested. If there's a cricket game, even in like night 2 o'clock, I will be ready. with my kit and everything. I'll come to the ground and I'll begin my game. I was at that level of dedication. So that kind of gave me the point saying that, okay, if this doesn't work out, because I had 3 years mostly to figure it out, and
This is
I will
2016 to 19.
2000, no, 2012 to 15.
Okay, okay, okay.
So I was playing well. I wouldn't say I was playing bad. I was playing well. I was getting like university level opportunities. I was getting to go to like the Karnataka cricket, like state cricket association, Chinnaswamy Stadium, which is also known as. Interact with players, understand my weaknesses in game, play like a lot of games, and figure out what's happening. Right, but I also knew that if this didn't work out in the future, and it didn't because I met like with a sports injury, which is very critical, and that gave me another shock, saying that 65,000 just to fix two small bones in my spine was like a big, like a
How did you
shocker to
get
me.
that injury?
That's just
Exactly.
like stress work. Like you put your body to so much load. You go to a gym. So my life cycle was like this. You wake up at 6:30. You reach college, right? You train again in college in the afternoon. You come back from college around like 7:30. You hit the gym again. So there was less of me giving my body time to rest, to recover. It's very important as a sportsman, and we were discussing this earlier, that India needs to, specifically if we're talking about sports, India needs to imbibe, specifically in football and with cricket, which are like enduring sports. How to understand to give your body rest, both physically and mentally, because studies take a lot of pressure mentally. So imagine the exhaustion a 15-year-old or a 13-year-old kid goes through. Right, it is torturous, uh, and you need them to understand that entire process a little better, because they don't have that maturity to make decisions on their own, right?
Yeah, of course,
So
of
they're just
course.
doing
That's why they
things
need a
with
coach.
correct. So again, coaches are more sports oriented, not like very highly understanding the mechanics of academics completely. Like what would be a best way of you to get a job, and all this is not known to them because they've not gone through that process. Again, it's the
Correct.
exposure thing. What we're discussing in the first point, right? If you expose people to it again and again, we know what needs to be done. We've been exposed to COVID currently so much. We know what needs to be done from a precautionary standpoint. It's the same thing, right? Now, so to that, to 20, cut short to 2016, I have a broken back. I sit for interviews, and here comes along Ernst& Young, which is like a financial company, says that, you know what, we do consultancy and we do something in cybersecurity. And I'm like, okay. I qualified for that kind of a job as well, as in my grades were fine. The pre-screening test that they had, I went through that as well. So before that, any company I gave interviews to like 12 to 13 companies at the like at PES, that's the university that I studied in Bangalore. Um, and everyone rejected me saying that you're a sportsman. तुम छोड़ के चले जाओगे. Like legit. Like that's how the HR told me. That you're working 8 hours and then training 4 hours, right? And then the next 8 hours you're trying to sleep. Your schedule is packed. If I make you work, obviously, and companies are uh, completely, like have the authority and the right to make that sort of a decision. And if I make you work 10 hours or 12 hours, it's going to have a domino effect to the rest of the things that I've planned out in my day-to-day activity. Because for me, it's 24 hours. I want to make use of that. Again, with the thought that if that I play India, if, right? And I spoke to a lot of top guys. Like we had Anil Kumble come down to a university once. We had Rahul Dravid come to my academy once, and then we had the opportunity to exchange ideas. And he said, "You can make it, but it will be a short stint. I might be like a Praveen Kumar
Oh
who
yeah.
who plays, yeah, who plays for it. But again, don't take it with the ambition saying that, oh, I played India or a couple of games, right? Keep that as a passion that you want to keep improving. That's the main, and that's where I understood their psychology, how they work in life, how they see things in life,
That's a
and
fucking insane red pill to get from Dravid.
yeah,
Where
I
he's
know.
telling you on your face that this is the realistic scene, boss.
Yes, yeah. So uh, it's like everyone doesn't make it. It's like 11 people or 15 people. You make it in the top 30. That's a great achievement, actually. We don't highlight it because it's not on TV. YouTube was not big back then, but it is a huge thing for a lot of people who make it in that space as well. Not just for me, I'm just saying in general, right? And sport in general requires a lot of financial. It's not easy. I remember the amount of money that I had to require, and I was lucky that my coaches and the teams that I used to play with, that they used to support that from a financial standpoint. Then that you don't have to go to your parents. Although I did go back to my parents and ask, saying that I have to pay for this, but it's a discounted amount because my gloves or my shoes or my bat is broken. Right, I can't
Mm.
go with that and play that. Um, so, so things worked out in that way. So 2016, EY comes, I get hired, I learn about cybersecurity. It's basically this. I did not choose the field chose me, honestly speaking, right? It chose me and it's by accident. And in any place that I speak to with people as well,
You
it's
tell them the same.
I, yeah, it's an honest truth. I can't deny it, right? So
So let
they
me ask
picked
you a
me.
question. Sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to know this. You can choose not to answer this question because I want to. I'll ask you a little invasive question. Did you? You can rephrase the question if I've not phrased it correctly.
Sure.
Did you in 2016 give up on your cricket?
Yes. If I have to answer it in one word, I would say yes. So give up with a pinch of salt. So I had a lot of friends back then as well. And what they said is, are you sure? It's like when you go through a divorce kind of a thing, and they ask you like, are you 100% sure? Because there is a there is a huge emotional and a mental sort of trauma you generally suffer because here is something you've been a 9-year-old kid. Like I saw the World Cup in 2003 of India playing the final. I was hooked. I was hooked like crazy,
That's the one we
right?
lost to Australia, right?
Yeah, that's correct, right? And I watched it till the last ball. That India, like what's happening is India winning, India not winning. We can still make it? Come on, and no understanding of math. Like 1 over 6 balls, you can only hit six sixes. Everything was possible in that age, right? Like we can do it. Just keep going. Right? That's like the passion that I have. So with that kind of hooked me up, and then I'm like, yeah, you know what? That kid of mine still lives and so still thinks that I can make it given an opportunity. So here comes the best part of it. We had like 11 people in the university team that were really, really good. Like few people senior of mine, few people junior of mine. Couple of them currently work for Rajasthan Royals as data analysts, right? So they sit with the Australian cricket team, with the Rajasthan Royals IPL team, and they figure out how to get people out. And it's a startup. So again, they kind of work primarily to analyze the data. Again, from a cricketer standpoint, this gives you another important thing that I can still bowl to a Virat Kohli, although I'm not on the TV, but I can still bowl to a Virat Kohli. I
With your
can still
screen.
bowl. Yeah, that's my own personal space, right?
That's a
So
fantastic thing. Like you might not be the one chucking the ball, but you're the one devising the strategy, the pace length, the line, the tactics, which over, when you'll throw this ball, how many overs of how many runs does
eh,
Virat need to take before? So you are the
the
brain
think
and
tank.
the
Yeah,
bowler is the.
yeah. The person doing the work field, correct.
That's damn
So
interesting. I like that. I like
that
that perspective a lot.
that's it. I bring in that thing that sports people who play sports, we do not need to put them aside saying that these are sportsmen, they don't have IQ.
Hmm.
uh, you need to imbibe your sports and workforce because see now there's a crossover of data science and data analysts, computer folks, and video recording and people having like some camera skills getting into sports to find out how we can improve quality of sports or create like a winning habit of the team, right? It's
Hmm.
very predominant in EPL as well, like in the Premier League, where people play football. Uh, People need to figure out. Imagine the stakes are so high. People need to figure out how to stop Messi for a World Cup, right? So that he doesn't score, and then they train regularly, and there are billions of dollars pumped into that as well.
And I'm pretty sure they will go to the level of researching what is his VO2 max levels, how soon does his body create lactic acid in his muscles. So they will fucking study
Yes,
all of that shit, right?
yes, yes. Do you think it's easy? It's not easy. We just need to create such opportunities and not have people like Baiju's and all those like tuition centers. corrupt that system. It's a very amazing system we can create, specifically with the kind of talent pool we have in India. So many number of kids and so many number of people around. We can use that to a different level,
But do
specifically with the
you?
kind of, yeah,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Specifically with the
So
kind of.
as specifically with the kind of like interest and the passion that we as Indians share when we are into something, like
Right.
be it cricket, be it like music, be it like arts, or like anything.
Politics.
Yeah, that's also there. You can use that for that.
So then, in that case, what you're telling is, or what I would like to add to what you're saying is that a company or a government will never invest in something like this. It has to be privatized. It'll have to be like a privatized company, but working in collaboration with the government because the government is the board, the BCCI, whatever. Even BCCI is private, right?
Yeah, so I would say the government would need to provide a platform, while while you and me as people would have to, take up the share and
Correct.
take
Correct.
up things up, and so that we have that platform up.
Correct.
Again,
So you'll have to
the data
probably get like
science.
the company that owns the Lord Stadium or whatever the hospitality, whatever the holdings group that owns the Lord's Stadium ka venue and makes money off it. Probably those guys would invest a stake in, let's
Yes.
say it's called something like Sane Technologies,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
that's fine.
So
Yeah.
Sane Technologies is working in this grassroots level in India to help create a better biological, a better physical approach to the sport to create world class sportsmen and not just athletes who will have dahi lassi and chicken and meat, but athletes who will literally train like international athletes, maybe not change their diet and all, but train like that. And I think something like this is only truly sustainable if these Indian, I don't think India in there is any maybe unless Reliance invests in sane technologies or like let's say Tata invests in sane technologies.
I'll give you a very simple example of that. You have
Yeah.
a Singapore, I would say like a poster behind you, right? F1. F1 has that all the time. Engineers are working to make the car faster every freaking day,
Hmm.
right? It's not easy. I mean, it's a team of people doing it. There's a reason why Mercedes, for almost like 5 to 6 years now, has been on top. Hamilton, yes, is a damn good driver. Like is like a prodigy that comes like once in a lifetime kind of thing. But Vettel is no less, right? Like other drivers as well, like Verstappen, everyone are no less. But it's the machine that you have that helps them to get
Correct.
better of that machine off, right? So yes, again, Mercedes have invested money. The engineers have the platform now to build on top of that entire system and
Understood.
get things done, understand the rules. Sure is now I keep hearing this new thing. McLaren has cheated for 2021, like how I think Racing Point did last year, right? So that's one reason why I am so close to F1 because of the science part of it being there, like engineers working to make it fun. Yes, obviously Netflix has like a big share of me getting that concentration also into it with
Drive to
the
survive.
drive to survive factor. So again, you will see a lot of my context comes from TV and like science fiction in general,
Fair enough. Yeah, yeah.
because that's where I've understood the psyche of the person, and I'm like, okay, this is how it works. Fine, I'm going to do this to improve it if you want it, right? So yes, there is always crossovers. F1 is another example.
I
There's
have a
crossover.
quick question here, okay? Because
Go ahead.
I'll forget this. You just said that, no, that you use the technology to identify the psyche of a person. Do you think if you see the technology usage habits of an individual, you can determine his personality type? At least take a
Yeah,
fair guess at it.
there is it's like a this like a gray area, and I'll answer it yes and no. It's like understanding a child. um, when I was a child, my parents understood certain, or not understanding a child. It's like training a dog, I would say. When you train a dog, you don't still understand what the dog is thinking, right? You can give it commands to say like, hey, you know what, this means that you stop, and the dog understands eventually with like training and you doing it repeatedly again and again. Now, computer system does the same thing. It's not doing something out of the blue, no like magic box, and like no voodoo. If someone's like throwing dust or something like that, right? It's the same thing that's happening, but the I get the insecurity in that space because this insecurity comes specifically like, you know what? as species. And I think you've touched on that with Achintya as well. And it was great to see Achintya also after a long time in on a podcast, but that's fine. But we have been
Which I hope you're
species.
watching this podcast because already I've seen
Yeah,
yours.
yeah. So I'm like saying he said that we have an opportunistic species, which is so damn true,
Yeah.
right? So we see an opportunity, and if you're developing something like, let's say we're developing a system, we don't want that opportunity of us going away, that we're top of the food chain and someone else becomes top of the food chain. Right? Um, Kind of creates like a huge problem in the ecosystem in general. So again, humans have been relatively new in the like entire world. The world's been there from a long. Again, I'm talking from a Big Bang and a physics standpoint. But the main sort of crux that I'm trying to highlight here is that yes, that AI can understand a personality. No, it cannot change your habits. It can give you conditional reflex, but something that is natural to you, it cannot change that. That's the main thing. It could change a conditional reflexing to a standpoint that you might again have a divided thought process, and that's where my work comes in as a security professional. Like, no, this tool or this product is doing it wrong. This is not correct. We need to fix that, and then eventually we fix the remaining supply chain of that. That's going on.
So I'll add to I want to add a follow up to that. You mentioned that AI can create the psychography, but it cannot influence behavior.
Correct. Yes.
Wouldn't you say? Again, I'm speaking strictly in hypotheticals, but not hypotheticals. I'm speaking strictly in hyperbole. Uh, wouldn't you say since the introduction of smartphones, human behaviors have changed? Like, for example, as a kid, I never had this habit of as soon as I wake up wanting to check my notifications, but now I have that.
It's
Wouldn't
true.
you say that maybe not
That
AI, but technology has changed my behaviors?
correct. Yes. So earlier, the way we used to interact with the world was through newspaper, through mail. As in by mail, I mean letter. So in the US, they don't use letter, the word letter. I still remember I had a very weird experience when I said I didn't receive the letter, and the lady looks to me very confused. Letter? What do you mean? Like alphabet, like A, B, C, D? I'm like, no. And I literally felt like those stand-up comedians talking to me saying that, when they go to a foreign country and they say, like, can you give me a bala? What? I'm like, what? Bala? Like legit those things. And I'm like, I didn't receive the letter. She's like, what do you mean by letter? I'm like the envelope and all of those things. Oh, you mean mail? I'm like, oh yeah, correct. Right. So it's the exposure that we've been into mostly. Again, keeping the comic aside and mostly looking into this. Yes, we've been driven in a way that the mode of communication, the way of interaction happens to technology a lot. That's where that drive to be more working in technology. And I kind of understand where you're trying to say that we tend to stay more indoors now than be outdoors when we were in the 90s. That is so true, right? And that is not right in a way that you stay indoors so much. Uh, it it does not help your psychological and physical growth as well as a person. It is important, and kind of people are also talking about like gyms and health and mental health. So yes, with new things coming up, there'll be new problems and there'll be new ways to address those problems. So that's kind of my way of looking at it. So
Right.
anything that comes up will be good. We'll also have bad. So we'll have to take that up as it is. We'll have to make sure that the bad does not. It's kind of a yin and yang kind
It's
of thing.
controlled or it's
Yeah,
regulated. The bad is
yeah.
regulated.
So even if there is bad, there'll be some good in that bad that's happening. Always. That's how the
Hmm.
society will work. So that's what I'm saying. So people who come up with these philosophies and this thought process, they had something in their mind that gave them this idea that this is how the thing works. This is how the thing operates. Uh, Obviously, they had a very high level understanding of it. Now we are getting into like the dirty side of it, like putting our fingers into something and breaking it open and
Yeah.
digging. It's the same thing how we like I think archaeologists look for old civilizations to see how the human race was behaving back then to improve what we can do now. It's
Now we
more
are
or less
seeing
the
how
same
will the
thing.
human behavior behave going forward.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully AI doesn't. We don't have an Age of Ultron kind of a movie.
Got
I
it.
like it. I like it if you have an Age of Ultron kind of a movie
Like
where we are becoming
Matrix.
Yeah, kind of that. And we are becoming cyborgs, and it's kind of funny that I can transform myself into a car and truck, and go to different places.
If
Again, that's
cybernetic enhancements have been tried and tested and like they work, would you opt for that? Like I'm sure
yeah.
that I would change my knees, my legs, my stomach so I can eat more food, and I would like to change my windpipe so I can smoke more without worrying of dying
So
of cancer or
when you
something.
go on electricity, remember this will run out of charge. So you will need a plug point to put yourself as a fast charge and like
I'm
boot your
pretty
phone.
sure that like already we have reached a stage in technology where I have dock charging. That is that I put my phone on top of a dock. It charges slowly, but it does charge. And
I'll do you
then,
one better.
hmm,
I'll do you one better. Let's make it that people go outside and the sun charges you,
that's fucking
like
insane. Yeah,
solar.
why not? But there are certain limitations I feel to that. Okay. That becomes mainly your geographic limitations. Like people who are living in the mountains, they will be slightly limited to less exposure. People towards the equator slightly get more energy. So I'm
Okay,
all
so
for that. I think that's fantastic. Like, you want your computer to run, do 50 rounds, 20 minutes in a cycle to power up your computer. I
no,
think
no, no. I
things
don't
like
want
that,
people to run. Yeah, but
like,
I don't want people to run. Yeah, I get your point. So what we can do
you
is
you earn mileage points on your home gym and you use those mileage points to do like buy yourself an ice cream or you buy yourself like
reward. Yeah, that's
reward
perfect. So
yourself, right? Yeah,
So
literally.
what I'm also thinking when you said that some people will not have access from a geographical standpoint to the sun, here comes my mind of using Dragon Ball Z kind of reference. Remember when Vegeta went into like the monkey mode where he created his own moon?
Artificial moon, yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
That's very true.
So we
That's
have
very true.
LED that have light that have like the same properties as the sun. Use that. Again, these are
So
all theory.
yeah.
These are all theory. There's some of it that's put into practice. I'm a very vociferous person for Li-Fi. We have Wi-Fi, which is like wireless fidelity. Li-Fi is light fidelity, which has more bandwidth, more technologies can be put in together. Li-Fi has only been implemented, I guess, in Germany and some parts of like some islands it's being applied. But it's a very nascent technology that's going to be up and running probably when we are passed away. But yeah,
It's like
that's like
some
the next
Justice
thing.
League level of technology, bro.
Yeah, could be. Yes. So it's nothing but you're using the light to transfer your data. Imagine this.
And that's so interesting. See, how does the system know that I need to transfer my data in this particular light ray and not that one?
Oh, amazing question. This is like an interview question that I get all the time, right? So basically, each bandwidth, and I don't want to make it technical, I'll try to keep it non-technical. Each bandwidth has like a value. Okay. So each of this value, let's imagine this. You at home have two drawers, right? One for keeping your socks and the other for keeping your, I would say, your tie and stuff like that, right? You know, and it's kind of also by training the system, like it's just one instruction, right? That left is for socks, right is for tie, correct? So the same thing goes there. You say the same thing to the system. If it is going to the left channel, it is going to XYZ destination. If it is going to the right channel, it is going to ABCD destination. So that's how the thing happens. And
Fair enough.
the only thing, yeah. So
In
I just
this,
finished that off.
yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So what that happens is you need to have that same kind of a setup in both locations. It's kind of the simple language would be a receiver and like a transmitter. So you just configure them in the same way, and then they know what needs to be done. They take care of the rest physics behind it.
So I have a question. Okay, this drawer analogy works when I know that my one compartment is this. It's compartmentalized, and this is compartmentalized. There's no transference happening between them. Maybe the only transference is that they're in the same cupboard, and I need to access them through the same door. But after that, they're still two
Noise,
individual drawers.
noise, yeah, which we call as noise. In like communications, we call this as noise. Yeah.
Perfect. So now, what I'm asking you is, when you're creating, is this the same as lidar? Li-Fi and lidar are the same.
I don't think so. I'm not heard of this term LiDAR, but Li-Fi is
LiDAR is
something which
basically where right now, how do they do geographic mapping? Is that they do sonic. But
no,
LiDAR
no,
is
no.
where they will
That's
have 15 helicopters, each transmitting a light ray. and they are basically helicopters that are in grids. So imagine like a grid on top of of the Amazon rainforest, and that grid is formed by helicopters that are carrying these lights.
Yes, kind of similar to that then. Yes. So basically, light fidelity is nothing but your data is being transferred on over light,
Something
and
like that. Yeah, yeah. So
you can
now,
control. Yeah, you can control all your systems like your laptop. I mean, you can power systems, your laptop, your microwave, your refrigerator, your geyser, everything. It's
so
like an
now,
home automated thing that's completely on your own.
so basically, I can have one lidar output in my home, and that can charge all the lidar IoT systems that are connected to that lidar system.
Perfect. Yes.
So now
Yes,
I have a
sir.
question. Okay, in this room, I'm pretty sure that there are going to be more than 5 or 6 light bandwidths because I've got one diffuser light, two tube lights, sunlight, and then there's a normal light of the room. In this environment, the lights are not compartmentalized, right? It's diffusing with one another. In this situation, if I have to relay data from here to there, where I know that my light is going to diffuse with other light, how do I train my sender or my sending node to
Hmm.
ensure that it only sends in this light frequency? Like how I'm saying it is like it might sound very dumb
I
when
got
I'm
a
saying it.
question. I got
Yeah.
a question.
How does that
And
happen?
and
So the drawer
so
analogy works where it's compartmentalized, where I know
yeah,
that in this pipe there's only this light and it will only go on this cable. But I'm saying in a room like this, or like in a
let me
mall or
answer.
like a data center, how does it?
Sure. Let me go ahead and answer that. So this is where your phones and everything, which they come with microchips, as in like microprocessors and microcontrollers, have scaled to a next level. Putting rovers on a moon is not a joke, right? So you have a microprocessor that can control what goes where, and they can be as miniaturized as you want, right? And they have amazing computation power. Like imagine people like your microprocessor, which is like this small, I would say like a chip card of your credit card, right? Like a chip of a credit card, and it has 16 GB of processing RAM, right? That is a huge thing for your room specifically. So if you have 4 lights, boom, that's so easy, right? So the microprocessor controls and manages the processing of the data, which goes where. Then the architecture of the computer comes in. Like if you remember what we learned in 8th grade, like the ALU, the logical processing, what goes where, and all of that
Gates
comes
basically.
into. Yes, correct. Those gates and those things come into picture of not only gates, but it's also the processing and threads and who to manage what and what to do. Like the processor does that for you.
Even in this case, like I'm assuming that in this case, or maybe the I'm not getting the framework of how Li-Fi works, right? In a Li-Fi system, is it quite similar to like I use Ethernet cable, like my I don't know if you can see it. I'm always using Ethernet because I don't believe Wi-Fi is the best way to do podcasts and stuff like that. The question I was asking about Li-Fi is, in a Li-Fi environment, are light of particular bandwidth grouped in a case so that there is no diffusion, or is the light just allowed to freely permeate? Because if it's allowed to freely permeate with each other, then how does the system divide that? Yes, while my light is being diffused by 3 other light spectrums, I have to make sure that it doesn't diffuse into any one of them and sticks to this. But if it's a closed
Bang on.
system, then I know it's not going to be a problem.
Bang on. So you've actually answered the question as if it's certain pointers that you've put in. One is the bandwidth, right? So light works at a very wide bandwidth, right? So let's say we have transmitters and like a receiver that works at a specific lower level bandwidth, 2 into 10 power 7, as in like 2 into 10 power 8, whatever is the light speed, right? I'm sorry, my physics might be bad right now,
Mhm.
but I've not touched
2.73
physics
into
for.
10 to the power or something, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So whatever the speed of light is, right? That's a huge space uh, that you can use overall, right? So to transmit things, to shift things, to amplify things, again, that microprocessor that is there can do that. So it will switch it up in case if there is noise, like in terms of intrusion. Security folks, that's a lot of new work that people need to understand how technologies operate. Uh, Basically, for a security person, the problem is solved if I understand how one thing works. If I know its working model, I can then take like imagine like this. you have like a plumber or your electrician who goes and puts a screwdriver everywhere to see whether this nut is weak or that nut is weak, and then you just fix that, right? Um, from a security perspective, my job remains that. So I need to know a little bit of everything, but not a little bit of all the things that's going on. I need to know how it works and then find problems, what can break it, and then just patch the tool
So it's
so that
it's a
it is
matter of you knowing what are the different logic situations that can arise in this system, right?
exactly. And that's mentally, as I said, like even the F1 engineers get mentally tired. It's mentally very exhausting, and it requires a little bit of like good amount of logical thinking as well.
So you could, yeah, so you could say that a lot of your job will be basically sitting in a room and asking yourself, if I create this one tool, what are the 99 ways people can abuse it? And what are the 99 ways I can make sure it's never abused again?
Okay. Yes, it's the same thing as in sport. In cricket, Virat Kohli or Suresh Raina or someone might not be able to play the bouncer. Like India goes to Australia, India knows that they're going to pepper with bouncers, right? So they got to know a way to mitigate that so that you know how you can minimize the damage to a bouncer. As simple as that. And that's why I like cyber as well, because it brings in that blend of sport. Imagine this: Hamilton's running on like soft tires, and the survival of the tire, as in the life cycle of the tire, is like another 2 laps. He has 3 laps to go. He needs to know how to manage his tire and still maintain like his time speed
Speed.
and yeah, and still be first in that entire thing,
So
right?
it's a matter of knowing what is the average speed that I need to maintain in the entire. Basically, if I've got 3 laps to go and I've got Verstappen 4 seconds behind me, and I've got
Correct.
only two fast laps worth of time left on my tires, then I have to ask myself, in which lap, what is Verstappen's tire situation like? When do I expect him to push? Is it going to be on the first lap, the second lap, or the third lap? And accordingly, I'll have to make sure that I push in the other 2 laps.
Perfect. Yes. So it's your engineer's communication, it's the decisions that you make, and also how you can like sort of manage your tires overall and your system as well. So you don't burn out the engine, you don't push something that is not supposed to be pushed, so that you have a DNF.
Knowing
Although you
when to
can come.
deploy how much energy into my tires
Yes.
and stuff like that.
Yes. So
So
that
it's
takes human skill.
so it's the same with data, and a malware is basically a piece of code that is either intentionally or unintentionally put there, which disrupts this process such that if there are checks that I need to do this first, second, third, fourth, it will basically fuck up that system so that the result that I get towards the end is fucked up because this is fucked up, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
So if I
So
want to topple the World Bank, I'll have to figure out what are the kind of syntaxes they are running and create a malware which basically like fucks that syntax up. So that tomorrow, if the World Bank is built on a system where every 13 seconds it refreshes its exchange rates, and then I remove that counter. Basically, imagine I introduce a malware which does not refresh that counter, then for the entire day, it's calculated based on that morning stock exchange value. Because you can topple an economy like that, dude.
So I'll give you a better one. The dot-com burst, if you've heard of it,
Yeah.
in 2000, people messed up as programmers, like you and me as children, like in school used to mess up that there is DDMMYY, like in the US it's different. It's MMDDYY.
MMDDYY.
I don't understand why there's so many different systems. But anyways, so DDMMYY is like a four character YY, right? If you have two YYs, then imagine when your counter goes to 0, 0, it's a reset
Yeah.
of the electronic circuit, right? You reset that system, boom, that's a burst. Dot-com burst wasn't a hack, it was a bug. So as a security engineer, it's very important for me to understand what a bug is and what a security gap is. As you said, there are certain places there are bugs, you can fix those bugs, not a problem. Yes, it's like a minimal loss the business might
A
suffer or the
bug
company
is a
might suffer.
shitty code built as a result of my coding, right? It has no internal external influence.
Or copy paste. Programmers currently work on copy paste. So believe it or not, and all of the programmers and senior engineers and everyone will agree, Stack Overflow is your Bible. Like, for me, if I get stuck, and people come to me and like, dude, I don't know like what program. I'm like, have you looked at Stack Overflow and has Stack Overflow given you an answer? And they'll be like, oh yeah, I did, and this is what the results they're showing. And then it kind of simulates from there.
Hmm.
Uh, okay, what kind of code are you writing? What are you doing? And things like that. But more or less, what I'm trying to say here is that People take code that is old code, maybe from an older system, a C system or a Linux system, put it on a Windows system. That code might have certain bugs, and it sort of transfers into the new system as well. So as an
Got
engineer,
it, got it, got it, got it. I got exactly what you're saying.
we don't technically look at just bugs. We also like we do look at bugs, but bugs is not something that we handle. If it's a bug, we report it, saying that you know what, this is a bug, fix it. But if it's in security stuff, like in problem, let's say personal information that I get of yours, Aadhaar card details. This is a big thing that I was very like, looking towards, is saying that Aadhaar card linked to your income tax, like as in your what was that?
PAN card.
PAN card, correct? Yeah. So is linked to it. It gives the government certain accesses that they can view. India does
Yeah.
not have laws from a privacy standpoint. They have GDPR. Sorry, no, they have the GDPR laws, but it's not strong enough
So you're
currently.
saying the government can easily see how much money I'm making from where, even if I don't file my income anymore.
The BJP IT cell has so much power. If you get any text, right, that vote for so and so, and you know what, we are doing this, it's because they are leaching information of some system that you might have given some information. So I would encourage you to go ahead and look at the Cambridge Analytica kind of like a hack that is there, right? Which it's again from a psychological standpoint how you can make people influence. Again, influence is the word I use to people to vote.
Hmm.
So again, as a security professional, my job is to not do that because that hampers the product or the company that I'm working with from an image standpoint, giving me like a tum chor ho, tum chor ho. It's like a guilt thing, right? So I don't want to be living with a guilt conscious all my life that, you know, I kind of succeeded in my life by living off, like stepping on someone's shoulder and
So you
moving
don't want
forward.
to be like a corporate guy like that.
Yeah, exactly. So all of that put together, I don't want to be in that kind of space. uh, that's where my entire policy and motive of life comes in. That okay, I want to do this, I want to make it better. It's got the factors of what I like personally as a person, strategy, the attack and defense kind of thing as sport, right? The decision making uh, things that I want. So all of that put together, I enjoy security that way.
Hmm.
Li-Fi, as I said, is a new technology. So understanding as a security professional what's happening in there is key, and then what are the 99 ways that it can be broken, and people do research on that.
So that's why it's that important for there to be um like if you've read Harry Potter, not Harry Potter, if you've read Star Wars, you will
Okay.
only learn about the light side of the force, not the dark side of the force.
Yes,
But as a
yes, yes.
hacker or as a data cybersecurity analyst, if you're not learning what the fuck goes on here, you can never be prepared for the kind of shit they like missiles they will launch at you and the ways they will
Yeah.
launch at you. So,
So
how do you guys ethically, not ethically, legally and ethically get that information? Or how
so
is
what
like how does if Al Qaeda is your bad guy, is the hacker, how do you guys learn about Al Qaeda trade secrets without being an Al Qaeda member? You know what I'm trying to say, right?
Yes. So basically, there are a lot of conferences. It's not, again, I said like the network is tightly knit. Doing certain certifications helps. It gives you an opportunity to interact on the forums, and you can YouTube DEF CON, or you can put a link of DEF CON below the description of the podcast and help people see how a DEF CON, uh, as in people, how they hack at DEF CONs, right? A simple social engineering call could be like, you know what, I find this on your name, scare you up big time, and you give up your credit card number. That's one. Call up your phone line, as in call up your phone service like Airtel. Well, you know what, my husband's locked out. I'm in a very dangerous situation. I need you to help me. And it's human to human conversation. Humans are empathy, like show empathy in general. So if they show empathy, saying that, okay, I'm going to give you your username, password of your husband, boom, you have access to that. Like user ID, like you have access to that account. That's it, right? So it's not only that. That's a very like a small low hanging fruit in
Generalized,
terms
yeah.
of, yeah. But the overall perspective is that that kind of keeps you going. What's happening either from a current system standpoint or what's going to happen in the future. So that's kind of the community that meets. And I don't want to. I think I can do that, but let me see if I can put that on the recording as well. So if I turn on my snap camera, we basically on that conference look like this. So let's see if it pops up. You can edit that out.
What's a snap camera?
So you might have seen something that happens on the how do I put it? Like you might have seen that there are certain Zoom calls that go like bad, right? Like there's a call going on and the snap like there is a filter that's been there on that call and they don't understand what's happening,
Okay. So I can
right?
only see like snap camera. I can't see your face anymore.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull up the hacker the thing,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm trying to see if there's a setting thing that I need
Why
to
don't you
change.
just share your screen?
No, I'm not trying to share. So it'll come up on as in it's like a filter. It's like a filter on my face, like a Snapchat filter on my face that will show me as a hacker, and then I give my presentation. But anyways, that's currently not working out on my system.
Like some
So
Mr.
let's go
Robot
back.
like thing you will look like, huh?
Yeah. Exactly. And then you can change your voice. Yeah, you can change your voice and be like, you can do funny stuff.
Give me
So
your like.
yeah, exactly. So that's kind of like the Darth Vader kind of like things of Star Wars that you can also invite. So we have as security professionals, we love Star Wars, we love Star Trek, we love science fiction in general. Anything that's science fiction, it it trends viral, as in it goes viral from a meme perspective. And Taylor Swift, that's another thing. I don't know why Taylor Swift, but Taylor Swift is a very popular thing in like,
Hmm. Let me ask you a question. This has absolutely nothing to do with anything fiction. I mean, no, non-fiction. It's purely fiction. How would you hack into the Batman Batcave as a data security
okay,
guy?
if not as a cybersecurity guy, you mean
As a cybersecurity
data
guy,
sec.
yeah.
So if I'm trying to get into Batman's system, the
Or let me ask
simplest
you a
way,
question so understand what you would do better. Tell me what are the prepping you will do? Like how would you try to hack into his different touch points of his life? That's what I'd like to know. Coming back to that question that I asked you,
Batman, yeah, yeah,
how
Batman,
would you
yeah.
hack into how would you hack into the Batman's life and spy on him without him knowing?
So first would be introducing him to people that he generally goes in social events. That's an easy, like a lowest easy way to get it done. The other,
Introducing as I didn't understand that.
so imagine this: Bruce Wayne is a businessman. He goes to a lot of business events, right? So Bruce Wayne, imagine at a business event. Now these days with business events, you have Wi-Fi available at that place, right? He logs in from his mobile, which will have some credentials or some input and some connection homing back to his Batcave. I can use that device or that meeting, initiate some. So you send me a Zoom link right now, right, for that conversation. You can embed something else onto the Zoom link, and when I click on it, because I trust you, I click on it. I hope it's open Zoom, but you can also, create a persistent connection later on
Like a
as well.
phishing.
Not a phishing; it's basically a redirection, is what is that. So
So I can basically have like a crypto mining script in my Zoom link, so that every time when you download or open the link, that like it installs a crypto mining app on your PC or something
it's
like
not a
that.
crypto mining; it's just a script. It's like this. It's like a spy. It just listens to what you do. That's it. It's not nothing to do with crypto. Nothing with crypto is more from a like bringing down and breaking down. Uh, I would say there are certain things that are encrypted, and you break down those encryption chains. So that's a different like orthogonal place. Let's not go there for a while because crypto and blockchain is again like Li-Fi is a very new thing that's coming into people's life. Crypto and blockchain more recent, as in it'll come in more recently compared to Li-Fi. Li-Fi is from it'll
Fair
come in
enough.
20,
Understood.
30 years later.
Understood. So that's one way. What else can we do? What else can you do? How can you tap
The,
into his life with him as Batman?
so the other thing is let's hope that Alfred here becomes our friend, right? We can use that aspect that try to exploit Alfred and see how we can get into the space. The other
Hmm.
way, the third way that can be is also looking at saying, they're using a very old system with a vulnerability. that we found, or the best thing, have a malware like this is the best, and like the top ones which you see on those cartoons as well, is when like you have a timer set up by Joker, and this homes to his system, right? That's like the elite and the hard ones to do, right? Because you need to bypass firewalls, you need to bypass security checks within the system, you need to bypass something at the kernel that's in the system, you need to corrupt the motherboard to a level, and then get into that, right? So yes, it's available in cartoons, you can enjoy that, but as a hacker, like people do it, but on an honest scale, they do it in your cyber warfare side when a country is attacking, like in Israel is attacking, uh,
Palestine.
let's say, a United States, yeah, like a
I
United
didn't mean to
States.
say that. I didn't mean to say
That's
that.
okay. We still hold the power of edit, so we can like, but from a conversation perspective, we can keep that, in. But technically, yeah. So the next kind of warfare, and I'm just touching on this a little, is going to be more on the web. Three things help you in your life: power, food, and internet. I shut down your power, you go mad, right? And internet and power kind of like goes side by side.
Hand in
I
hand, yeah.
shut down, I shut down your food, I shut down electricity, like I shut down your water supply, I shut down internet. That's it. That country is dead. It's off the grid. It's off. Like it's you don't have. I don't have to develop a nuclear bomb perspective. Again, I'm not talking anything with security being like a. We're not trying to make. We're not trying to
Plans.
give people ideas, but technically, hackers have the. I mean, people in dark web have such power that they can shut down a country if given the right amount of resource and the money. So
This reminds me of that movie Die Hard 4, where there's a fire
yeah,
sale that happens in the US, right? Where they shut down
yes,
the
yes.
internet, they shut down the news, and then they shut down something else. I forgot. So, yeah, because if I am to invade another country, the only way that that country can speak out is if they can connect with other countries out there. But you take that away and you create mass panic and hysteria in the country, then there's a lack of faith between people. They start fighting among themselves, and you just go and you clean up.
We can use that as an example, saying what happened in Jammu and Kashmir. Again, I'm not trying to put bad upon the government over here, but they didn't have internet access. They didn't. Their life was almost in isolation, right? They had curfews, and there were things that were also not humanely right, I would
Got
say.
it.
So yeah, that's one way of like cutting off the entire connection to the global world and slowly allowing them to like rot and kill themselves on their own. That's one space that you can always go. But security, again, my job is to help them not to do that. People do take decisions that are drastic, so that's on them. And
At
I
what
don't
point
sign off on that.
you
Go
don't
ahead.
sign
Yeah,
off on?
I don't sign off on that. Like if they say they're doing it, I'm like, okay, I'm not putting my signature on this. This is not authorized by me. It's your risk. You do it. I'm fine with it. If there is a news headline tomorrow, my name shouldn't be there because I didn't sign up. It's clearly put in documented. I have my legal team that's taking care of the rest. So yes, Jaiman could come and picture saying that. Please, Jaiman, help me in a corporate way of legal and all those things. That's
Yeah, you never know. You never know. Um, so that brings me to pretty much like my last question of the day, and I'd like this to slightly help us bring closure to our podcast. What's next for you? What do you see yourself doing for the next year?
mostly, I hope that the company that I look forward to join, there are certain legal things that's there in the US, something called as the worker authorization card that you get. As soon as I get that, join the company that I'll mostly be working with. Looks like we'll have a lot of travel as well involved in it, like going to different places, explore that, take advantage of you know at least not as a cricketer if I couldn't travel as like a cybersecurity person if I'm going to travel like a cybersecurity engineer if I get to travel, why not take that opportunity, meet new people, understand what they think from security perspective, uh, drive fast cars. I really want so two things that I really want to do: go to a track, hit 100 or 150 miles per hour, and you're legit like having your life at your hands, and you're going through a chicane, you're going through an apex, you're turning, you're drifting, that kind of a driving, like that kind of adrenaline rush, something that I really want to do. The other thing would be specifically from that is like keep my other hobbies, as in like music, drumming, like start them up again, because there was a part of my life that I used to enjoy, right? We used to chill, we used to all like have fun stuff, keep going around, right? Do that and meet more people and share their cultural experience of what they are doing in life in general, and how we can make the world a better place, help people specifically in education if I can contribute back to that, and bring them not in specifically to the US, but allow them to, you know,
Explore
use
the geographies of the world.
exactly, kind of have like a blank canvas, give them the opportunity of having a canvas, paint whatever they want on their life, and use life as an experience and journey, wherever they want to go. It's not
Cool.
result oriented, and it's not grades oriented. Your grades don't dictate how good you are. Trust me, I am not a topper. Anway knows it. I am not a topper. I am no like amazing person who knows everything. I know things to a certain extent, but that's it, right? And that's where my I forgot the speed of light. Haha, correct. Yeah, and I'm kind of okay with that. I don't believe in knowing everything, because if you
Ratta
know
knowledge you
everything,
don't believe in.
yeah. So be hands-on, be whatever you like. Your grades literally don't matter. Again, I don't want to be sounding like an uncle saying that, oh yeah, grades don't matter. But it's the entire journey of where you go, how you want to do it, and utilizing those opportunities. And I kind of want to create a platform of people having the opportunities when they want. And for free, specifically make it for free. I don't want to charge people for it. It's kind of bad if you charge for it. I feel it's like an unethical thing that you do. So if I can like, hey, you know what, you want to talk to me? If you want to talk, imagine this, people do this when we become friends. You want to talk to me? You pay me $10. I'm like, what? Seriously? Right? Like
10 bucks an
that's
hour.
kind of the yeah, that's kind of a trend that we're going towards. Like you pay me $10 an hour, I'll talk to you as a friend. I'm like, what? That doesn't work out, right? That's like a
You
social
start your
thing.
OnlyFans. OnlyFans account.
Yeah, you could say that. But
Okay,
yeah,
then let me ask you a question for me. Okay, I'm 26, gonna turn 27 this year, November. I'm 12th pass. I didn't finish my undergraduation, but I'm working as an account director in my company right now. I really want to do a PhD in psychology, especially
okay.
cognitive neuroscience and behavioral analysis, like how behavior works, human behavior. So what is the time I have left in my hand for foreign universities to accept me and say, I will give you a fucking PhD? And what is
So
the things that I need to gear up and start thinking right now if I really want? I really want a PhD. I don't care about my masters. I don't care about my undergrad as much. I want the journey of being able to work on my PhD in this field. What do you
got it.
recommend?
Yeah. So technically, you will still have to do an undergrad, because internationally, and
I'll
this
do
is like
all
an
of
international.
it. All I'm saying is my focus is not कि मेरे को college में जाके undergrad करना है. My focus is I want to do something in this field. So even if I'm doing a shitty undergrad or a shitty diploma just to get to that masters, I'm good with it. What would you recommend?
Exactly. It's a journey, right? So that's what I'm saying. In that journey itself, you'll, again, age not being the barrier here, you'll have to just look at one thing. You'll have to give certain exams. Like, let's say if you're going to Europe, you'll have to give certain exams. If you're going to the US, you have to give a SAT or a GRE or whatever, right? So once you give those exams, you still have the opportunity to propose your engaging statement of purpose and your letter of recommendation to the people that you work with, saying this is the level of you know expertise or interest you have in this particular field, right? And you've contributed back into the field. With that said, people then assess, because academics is generally the best way to assess an academia kind of a field. It's just a statistic that gives them, again, Ishan Sharma has an average of 2 in cricket, right? This is just an example. But can Ishan Sharma not score 100? Yes, he can. Can
I think
Virat
he
Kohli
did
not
know
take?
one game he really blasted sixes. I remember.
Yeah, something like that, right? So I'm just saying, I'm just throwing some like examples of that. So it's not about, the problem is not the opportunity. The opportunity can still come along, but the thing that you'll have to do is you'll have to complete your undergrad, and once you have your undergrad, you can obviously do a PhD directly. It's like it'll be like a 7 years kind of in total education period that you will go through, and that's it.
Can I
I know
work during
people.
this time?
Yeah. So PhD in the United States, PhD in Europe is paid. It's a job. It's not as in your paid stipends. So you, as in they maintain, as in they make sure that you have a lifestyle and a life, like a sustainability of food on your table, like how you see a rooftop of my head, you have all of that, right?
Can
And
I
I just
also
did
have
a
a job
master's.
on the side if I'm able to manage it? Like, say, for example, I'll tell you what I mean by that. Say, I use the next 2 years to build myself an online business. Can I keep running that online business over there while doing my PhD on the side as long as I'm able to manage my time? Will that be a legal
That's
thing for
correct.
them?
Yes, that's again, every country has a different rules and regulations for it. If it's YouTube, for example, they don't care. But if it's like a work that you do outside of campus, specifically, I'm not talking about the US, you just have a 20-hour minimum quota. Because if you go beyond that, you're basically not using the system that has been given to you to study, but to make money. So that's kind of the thing that they don't want you to be doing. Because previously people have come here with a different visa and they do something else. Again, financial background all kept aside, but the focus of that entry is that you will finish your degree, right? So you finish your degree, that's your first priority. Yes, you can work 20 hours, irrespective of on campus, off campus, YouTube, online business. You can go ahead and do that. And the Europe is different. In the Europe, it's in like Europe and Australia, it's different. You can do anything as part time. That's okay. They don't till the time you're managing your time. Fine, fair enough. Is what I understand so far.
Fair
Yeah,
enough. So even if I am doing this business, uh, like basically how I'm seeing it is like, say, for example, spend the entire, like how my day works now is I wake up, I do my flute practice, music practice, whatever, start my day, work. At the end of the workday, I do my podcast work. Similarly, wherein over there, I will spend the entire day doing my whatever work that is, studies that is. Maybe 2 hours in the night, just do a podcast, which
that's
was,
fine.
or whatever, articles or podcast.
That's
Will
fine.
that
That's
get
fine.
counted as a 20 hours or is that just something I'm doing on my side?
No. So till the time you're not getting like you're not getting paid for it is bottom line what they care. Like as in you're getting paid as in uh you're making money that is humongously huge and that goes beyond. So you said 2 hours, right? Your work is 2 hours and you say like maybe editing is something you do as like a leisure thing, right? So that doesn't count. So 2 hours is what you're working on the entire day. Fair enough. You have 18 hours remaining on your quota that you can do other things as well. So more or less that works. I know students who have YouTube channels. I mean, you might see US people who are doing vlogging while studying masters or doing undergrad, right? So they utilize their YouTube work as like leisure. They mention it as leisure while they are like teaching assistants, like while they have a 20 hours
So
proper
if my business
part-time
is
thing.
making me money in India, is it still part of the 20 hours that I have to spend there?
No, no. If it's making in India, it doesn't count.
That's
They
the
don't care.
that's what I'm saying. So it's an online business. I'm not working in the US with US clients. I'm working with the same set of clients that I have.
That's fine. Yeah,
Then it
it
doesn't get
doesn't.
counted as the working hours,
No,
right?
they don't care. Yeah, they don't care about that.
Because
It's
that's the
it's
plan I
specifically
have. I don't want to take a loan or anything. I want to have a business which is paying my education bills and I'm studying and self-sustaining
so
myself.
technically you might find it a challenge from the visa officer to stamp your because they understand and these guys just understand flat numbers, right? So you might have to show them certain figures, certain bank balances and certain figures that you have other than your online business if you have certain like lump sum amount of money that can help you survive a year. It's just that 1 year, if you know how to survive that 1 year and you show that sort of financial statement to them,
So
you
it
are
makes
good to
more
go.
sense to show something like I have so much lump sum, which I've saved over the last 5 years, than to show that I have a continuous stream of income. So it would
Yes,
make more
yes,
sense to have something like my my business is paying me a salary. That's how I see it,
yes,
right? My business, the
yes.
which I own and run, is paying me a salary. The
Correct,
clients
correct.
are not paying me. The clients are paying my business, and my
Yeah,
business is paying me at the end of it.
yeah. And you can show that as
This,
a savings account. Yeah,
and I
like a
can show that
savings.
as a
Don't
savings
show
account, right?
exactly, exactly, and that works. That works perfectly fine. You have full opportunity uh, to be as in. I can share you some. I can forward you some links of people doing that. Again, YouTube, 20 hours of work as well. So they manage both. It's allowed. It's not a problem.
It's a matter of
So
how you
anything
do
that's
it.
online, yeah, exactly. It's how you use that opportunity. And so the main, again, the purpose is because you've come here to study. Let's say you're on a student visa. The main agenda is that you graduate, like you don't fail the course. Nobody wants you to fail the course. That's like a positive thing in like a foreign country. They want to do everything and anything to help you succeed in your career. It's not a competition, and your professors literally take initiative and workload because they want you to do well. So even if you don't understand, and that's the reason why in masters and phd you find like the student ratio being very small. It's like 10 is to 1 or 1 is to like 10 students and one professor, or 5 6 students and one professor. That's the main. And phd it's even more filtered. It's like one advisor and or two advisor and one student working with them. So that's kind of the wave that you go with. So they want you to succeed. That's the main thing. Nobody wants you to fail. And that's kind of helped me also to build my mentorship, my group, uh, the not only the group at the university, but also in my career. People I speak to in general from security standpoint. So they've been very pivotal in my role of where I am right now. Both
Understood. Got it.
recommendation of letter perspective and also general perspective in life. Like this is what I'm thinking, this is what I want to do.
Guidance.
What is your perspective around it? They're like, okay. Although I have my parents to use that because both of them are IT. My mom's still working with IBM, which is a great thing for her. My dad's like left IT, and he's like, yeah, this is I'm done. I want to go into my hay
Chill
years
now.
and chill. Exactly. Made a lot of money. We've done our stuff. It's much more easier in life. So yeah. So being second generation IT, that exposure again, and that's why I was initially very vociferous about that. Exposure is key. You give the
And
right
that
exposure.
that shows that, like, in the entire conversation that we have had, a lot of it has relied around the mindsets that you have. And that shows, like, it shows that you're not, like, तुम काम नहीं कर रहे हो काम करने के लिए, you know what I mean?
Exactly. I enjoy what I do.
You like the
Yes, I do
creation
have.
process and the deconstruction process,
Yes, even I get demotivated at sometimes because so much work. I need to get this done. Stressful.
not
That's
getting
part
paid
of your.
enough.
Yeah, that's part that exactly. Even not getting paid enough. So that's part of. Even a cricketer has stress when he underperforms, right? That he might get dropped. It's the same thing. It's every job has that. You live and die by that sword. Like I'm not saying you get dropped in cyber, but yeah, you do get a kind of
If you're not
like a sort
upskilling,
of
then you're getting redundant in no time.
yeah, you're gonna get like some firing of some sort from your boss saying that what, this quality was bad, and it looks bad upon us, and there'll be repercussions. Again, repercussions would be that headline. You see my name on a headline, that means something broke that I made, and that is bad. That is bad in many ways.
Ivanka Trump's nude photos leak because sane privacy app
Yeah, could be,
gets breached or something like that.
and then Trump and I think what
Melania.
Kushner is Kushner is Trump and Kushner are behind the uh, uh, with like a huge sort of lawsuit that's going on. So if I win that lawsuit, I'm happy. I
Hey,
become
but
like a huge.
if you have an LLP, then you're not privately obligated to anything. So
Yeah, could be. So those are things that we can venture later into.
so it's
But yeah,
all a matter of knowing how the system works and how you can hack the system, or how the system can be hacked, and making sure that it's not used in a wrong way. That's pretty
that
much
is
the
correct.
premise.
That is correct. That is absolutely what we're trying to do here.
Understood.
So more or less in the next couple of years, security is now going to become like software engineer kind of thing. Everyone's becoming a security person, right? So gone are the days of SDEs. Sorry, SDE people. So everyone's mostly now going to be as in security is going to be core of everything that you do.
I understand.
The
With so
reason,
much data being collected across so many touch points and human population increasing so many multifold, and the whole China stand saying we are going to be a completely new fucking psychosphere of our own, I can totally understand why
yes. So
it's going
so
to only increase. And I
yeah.
think in the future, when you have IoT baby mouth things and IoT old people spectacles, then you'll have that much more touch points or that much more data coming in.
That's correct. So the biggest thing with COVID. COVID, although COVID has been like a very big thing globally, COVID has also helped healthcare centers to go digital, right? And since they've gone digital, imagine this. Like I've heard of this happening in Australia. You have a QR code and your data is being sent for contact tracing, right? So like I visit a restaurant, I'm making payments. So we understand Paytm, right? Uh,
Hmm.
I'm visiting a store. Now I'm going to buy something. I scan the QR code. It's immediately sending like data into my healthcare centers, saying that this is the population of this place currently. Your police can immediately react, saying that okay, there are too many people in this. We need to maintain social distancing. And in case if there is a COVID outbreak, we have a contact tracing of how we can isolate people as well. So that's a fantastic thing using uh, technology, right?
Hmm.
Now, what can go wrong in this completely is simply that someone uses the entire data and gives them like an incorrect information to them, saying that all these people are COVID positive, while they're not. So you forcefully take them and isolate them, correct? So
Appetite.
yeah, that's like the negative side of it, like the exact opposite, right? So that's how security people live by, and hopefully uh, more and more people join in security, and they can enjoy this ride that we have been doing.
I understand. All I
So
can say
yeah,
right
we can
now
talk
is,
about dark web. We can talk about dark web. Like I can just give an intro about dark
I
web.
think
What
what we
dark
should
web
do
is.
is we should do another podcast because I want
Yeah,
to
let's.
end this one here and let people mull over the philosophy of cybersecurity as a thing,
Mhm.
and then I want to do another round of interviews wherein all the people who appear for my season two, I will do second round of podcast where we delve even more deeper into that same topic. So that's when I
Okay.
want to get into cybersecurity and I want to get into your cricket a little bit more in depth over there.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
this one I wanted people to understand, like, we are sitting on this side of the screen. That's what the guy on the other side of the screen is thinking and doing. You know what I
Got it.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Get the understanding of the viewer and see what the
Exactly,
feedback
bro.
is.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's again for me also that's important from a usability perspective. Is this like how Nokia went out of business and Apple went up with like saying we are touchscreen phone, throw away the Nokia. like that's how Steve Jobs used it. Right? So yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, it's 2:30 as well, and yeah, you can edit that out,
It's
saying that
2:30 a.m.
we
over
are
there, no?
we are two time zones away. It took
Yes.
a huge effort for us to bring each other into the same time zone.
But I'm glad
Yeah,
we did it.
there were several chats saying that okay now no wait hang on no now yeah.
Several
Problem of
chats
living.
and challenges.
Yeah,
Like my
yeah.
printer's got giving me missed calls now.
Yeah, you can go ahead and
No, it's all right. So thank you, Sauradeep, for coming. Thank you for your patience and thank you for sharing key insights of the way you look at the world with us, because that's what I connect with the most. How do people look at the world and how it's different from me looking at the world and stuff like that. So any closing thoughts that you'd want to leave the people with? And maybe you can sign us off today and then I'll just give a final sign off.
Sure. Again, two things. Keep Stay humble, keep hungry. The other thing is that power is corrupting. So if you have power, don't use it for wrong things. We don't want people to use identity theft or any sort of credit card scam or anything. It's stressful. Come on, don't be a creep. Is what I want to say.
Don't spy on people either.
Yeah, exactly. Don't be a creep. That's what I'll say again.
Awesome, Soydeep. Thank you so much. And this is until we meet again. Bye and have an
Sure.
awesome
Yes.
weekend.
You too, mate. You too. See you, brother.